Are you serious? Are you serious? Breaking news. Breaking news out of Israel. Rabbi Yehudah Glick is one step away from being a member of the Knesset. And it's causing a stir in the city of Jerusalem. But Benjamin Netanyahu has no problems with the Temple Mount activist, Yehudah Glick. Matter of fact, this is Yehudah Glick's book that's out called Arise and Ascend. It's a powerful, very informative book on what a third temple would be like. Matter of fact, here's a picture of Yehudah Glick with Benjamin Netanyahu. It's in the back of the book there. And wow, are you serious? This is my copy of it. Yehudah Glick actually gave this copy to me and signed it and gave me a very, very powerful and encouraging letter in the book. And so I interviewed him back in May. He was shot 4 times point blank in October of 2014. And then I went to Jerusalem and met Rabbi Yehudah Glick and interviewed him in May. A 4-part interview that is on this YouTube channel, and you really should go and watch it. It's a powerful interview. And then I went back to Jerusalem in October of this year and met with Yehudah Glick again. And this time I brought my television cameraman with me and did a 2-part television broadcast, which I aired on our Lassie Broadcasting about a month ago. And I will upload it tomorrow, part 1 and part 2, both television shows of the Yehudah Glick interview from the television show. It is a powerful show. And we talk about his trip to Turkey, where he met with several imams. We talk about the Temple Mount. We talk about his new book, Arise and Ascend. We talk about all these things, and he mentions the Knesset. And he told me, he said, I believe I'm going to wind up in the Knesset. And so here he is, one step away. Now, there are some that don't want to see him there because he's an advocate for what? For the Jews to be allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. Imagine that. I mean, the Muslims have 2 mosques, and the Temple Mount used to have Solomon's temple and Herod's temple. And Jesus says that there will be another temple. He mentions by saying the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place. Daniel talks about this abomination that will happen. That's when the Antichrist walks into the temple of God before the worshipers of God and declares that he's God. Well, the temple's not there right now, but Daniel saw it in a dream. Jesus prophesied it in Matthew 24, and Paul explains what it is in 2 Thessalonians 2, and John gives us the blueprints of it in Revelation 11, that it's going to be a temple sitting there without an outer court, so the Gentiles can walk freely around. And folks, when I was on the Temple Mount in May and in October, I can tell you there's enough room to build the third temple and plenty of room to leave the 2 mosques that are up there, and tons of room for people to walk around, and it can be a tourist attraction. And that's what Yehudah Glick says is his ultimate goal, is freedom for all people. Well, and especially the Jewish people, allowed to pray again. Rabbi Yehudah Glick is unstoppable, folks. And I can tell you the tenacity of the man, yet he does it with grace. He's one of the most humblest men I've ever sat down and talked to in my life. Yet he is so determined and so focused on one single goal, and that is to get Jews again allowed to pray on the Temple Mount and the third temple to be built. And yet somehow he would love to see peace among all men. Well, Yehudah Glick last year survived, of course, as I said, that assassination attempt. And this Palestinian shot him 4 times. And when I interviewed him for the television show, I will air the television show, both television shows tomorrow. I will put it here I'll post it on this YouTube channel. But I went and interviewed him at Menachem Begin's conference center. And it's the very place where he was shot. We even walk out on the street in a very exact spot, and we actually did some filming out there on the street where he was shot. You'll see this in the television programs. It's a fascinating interview. And I truly believe that the reason the man didn't die is because he has a destiny to attempt to lead the Jewish people back to the Temple Mount and the building of the third temple. And if you are a Bible prophecy scholar and understand the significance of that milestone, you know that means we are living in the last of the last days. And matter of fact, I look back at it, and now Yehudah Glick may become a member of the Knesset. He's next in line, and there's an interview here where Yehudah Glick says, quote, "Just as I do today outside the Knesset, I'll try to do inside the Knesset." The 50-year-old redhead told the Times of Israel this week in Jerusalem, "If I'm in the Knesset, I will try to do my best to change the situation on the Temple Mount." And so he says that he would be an ally of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And Netanyahu posed in a picture for Yehudah Glick on the back of his book here. Look, there's even talk about that potentially Yehudah Glick not only could become a member of the Knesset, but folks, it's potential. It's being talked. He could become the next prime minister or a future prime minister of Israel. Think about that. And I was sitting there talking to Rabbi Glick, and I said, if the condition of the world was perfect, and the green light was go, start building the temple, I said, how long would it take to build the temple? He said it could be built in 6 months. We have everything we need. Everything is ready. It would not take long. So when I think about that and say to myself, is it possible that the third temple prophesied in the Bible that hasn't been fulfilled in 2,000 years, could it be built in the next 3 years? And do you realize that the Bible prophecy says that the two witnesses in the book of Revelation will then begin to preach in the streets of Jerusalem, and they will preach the gospel of the power of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, and his power of his resurrection. And the world will hate those guys. They'll be seriously, but they'll be able to turn the water to blood and send plagues upon the earth. And of course, it will get very intense. But can you imagine that we could be that close? And so Yehudah's book, Arise and Ascend, is a very, very, very great read. And you can get it at his website at the Heritage Foundation. I'll put the link in the description below. Tomorrow, be sure and watch both television shows. I'll post them right here on this YouTube channel of an extraordinary, exclusive interview that I had with Rabbi Yehudah Glick at the site where he was nearly assassinated a little over a year ago. God bless all of you. Shalom, shalom. I pray for the peace of Jerusalem. I pray for the peace of all men. Give your life to Jesus Christ. As a pastor and as a Christian, I implore you to call upon his name and be saved.